So here we have my Windows desktop. So I'm going to show you where to get Ubuntu Linux and how to install it. First off, go to your web browser. Then go to www.ubuntu.com. So this is what their website looks like. So if you go to Download, and then Ubuntu Desktop, I would recommend choosing the Ubuntu 12.04 long-term support, because that's what I used in the next videos, as well as it's much more stable, as of right now, than the 12.10. So I'm going to grab the 64-bit version. You should get the flavor that applies to your computer. If you don't know which one to choose, choose 32-bit, because 32-bit works on both 32-bit and 64-bit machines. However, if you do know that you have a 64-bit machine like I do, then click the 64-bit version. Now click Get Ubuntu 12.04 LTS. Now it asks for a donation. However, you do not have to do this. You can say, "Not now, take me to the download." It is very much appreciated if you do donate, because that's what keeps this project going. Now you can also go to their webpage and take a tour. So you go under the Ubuntu tab and then click the Take a Tour button. This will allow you to run a very limited version of their software. So I'm going to click Show Myself Around. So this is kind of a basic look at what it's going to look like. Feel free to mess around with this for a little while, just to familiarize yourself, as well as decide whether or not you really want to do this. So if you come down here to the Download tab, you can either download Ubuntu Desktop or install it with Windows. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm going to choose 12.04, and I'm going to choose the Get Installer. Again, this prompts you to make a donation, but you don't necessarily have to. So now that you've downloaded that, you can go into your Downloads folder and find this Wubi executable. So double-click on that to run it. So here we have the Wubi installer. That stands for Windows Ubuntu Installer. So, right now, I have it set to install on my hard drive, and then install with 10 gig. You have multiple different desktop environments, such as Ubuntu, which is stock Ubuntu, Kubuntu, which is Ubuntu running a KDE environment, Xubuntu, which is Ubuntu running an XFCE environment, Edubuntu, which is Ubuntu optimized for education, and then Lubuntu, which is optimized for older computers. It's running LXDE. So I'm going to choose stock Ubuntu. For my username, I'm going to use Ubuntu class. For my password, I'm going to come up with a password, and then retype it. So then I click Install. So what this is going to do is go and download Ubuntu 12.04 and then install it as a separate operating system on my hard drive. So now the initial setup is completed, so I'm going to click Reboot Now and click Finish. So here we've come to the option right before boot up where it asks you whether you want to run Windows XP or Ubuntu. So you're going to want to hit arrow down before the 30 seconds is up and hit enter on Ubuntu. This will launch the Ubuntu operating system. So now back into Windows. Say you didn't want the Ubuntu partition there anymore, or you wanted to do it in a different way. Here's how you would uninstall it. So you go to Control Panel, then Add Remove Programs. You click on Ubuntu, click on Change Remove, and say Uninstall, and then click Finish. That's all there is to uninstalling the Wubi version of Ubuntu. Now I'm going to go into how to install Ubuntu alongside Windows. So now we're back into this environment. This time we're going to pick the same language, we're going to click Install. The process is almost identical to installing it on a fresh hard drive. So now we have the install. So I'm going to choose English again. I'm going to choose download while installing and install third party. Now at this spot, we now have two new options. Install Ubuntu alongside Windows XP or replace Windows XP. And then we also have something else again. Something else is definitely for the advanced user. I would not suggest something else for somebody that hasn't done very much hard drive partitioning or loaded operating systems before. So I'm just going to choose Install Alongside. So now I have this bar here and I can decide how much I want to give to Windows and Linux. So right now I'm going to give Linux 10 gig. Then I'm going to click Install Now. So now it's telling me that before you select a new partition size, any previous changes have to be written to the disk. This means that it's going to partition out your drive. At this step, if you mess something up, you could lose some or all of your data, so be very careful. Make sure you're doing what you think you're doing. Right now I know that I have this correct, so I'm going to click Continue.